good people. I am Dirk Casterly, last bard standing, here before you in the beautiful... What's the name of this place? The Drowned Dragon Inn. Drowned Dragon, fine establishment, huge history. Make sure you tip your serving wenches. There you go. You'll excuse me, I'm a bit tired, you see. Just got done with a major dungeon crawl and my knees scuffed. Hey, drink up, it gets funnier. So, Thaco, am I right? Am I right? Hey. So I was talking to my friend, and he was telling me a story about how he was in a dungeon delve, and they opened up a door, and it was this little 5-foot by 5-foot room. And inside of that room, there was a gelatinous cube. Now, don't worry, they survived. But he was asking me, hey, Dirk, gelatinous cube is 10 feet by 10 feet. The room was only 5 feet. How does that work? So I tell him, hey, there's always room for Jell-O. Hey, that was funny. Critics, you'd think I'd have a bunch of paladins out there. I swear, you guys are judging good and evil. Come on, it was good. It was good. I was talking to my friend Rudolph. Rudolph is a fighter, you know. Lots of weapons, heavy armor, you know the type. And he was going to me, hey, I got this one gal I'm seeing on the side. And, you know, I don't know how I can impress her. I'm like, well, you're an adventurer. You survived a few quests. You got your money. You're doing okay for yourself. I was like, I don't know. I'd like to impress her with what I can do. I can maybe pull out my great sword. And I'm like, hey, buddy, you know, we quested together, and I've seen you, you know, in compromising situations. I call that a short sword, honestly. Oh, it stings, hey. There you go, have a few drinks, you're okay. You know, I gotta tell you about this DM I had, Dungeon Master. Nice guy, but not the sharpest, not the brightest DM there was. I had this nice sword back then. Not this one, but I had a nice one. It was a sword +1/+3 versus insects for all those insect type opponents. And I was like, when's the next time we're gonna fight some giant ants or something? So you know, came across some dungeon trash, fought a bunch of bugbears. +3, baby, bugbears. Yowza! Hey, have some of the meat. It's great. So after I got done with the dungeon crawl, I went out to go and get some equipment back. You know, you lose stuff when you're in the dungeon. And as I was going along, I found a merchant, and he was selling all kinds of stuff, but his prices were really, really low. So I'm like, how can you afford this? And it's like, well, you know, I go here, I go there, I trade between different peoples. I thought he was on the up and up. Turns out he was a bit of a shyster. For instance, I wanted to buy a 10-foot pole. And he sold me one. For halflings. Yeah. So I was talking to my friend OmnusI. OmnusI's a rogue. Good at it. Keeps us alive in the dungeon from all those nasty traps and gets us through all the doors. So I was talking to him and he's like, you know, I can kill just about anything. I knows where all the weaknesses are. I can backstab with the best of them. But there's one kind of creature I ain't been able to kill yet. I'm like, OmnusI, what's that? He's like, the gnome. I'm like, the gnome? It's a short little person. Shouldn't be too hard. He's like, yeah, but you know what? Everything's got its vitals in different locations and stuff. I look at a gnome and I can't quite tell where I'm supposed to stick the pointy end in. I'm like, well, I think I can help you there, because you see, gnome is where the heart is. you got it, right? You got it. Oh my gosh, I'm dying here. I'm dying. So my next gig, I'm going out with a group of adventurers, and we're going after land sharks. You know land sharks, they're big, they got big mouth, huge teeth, dig through the ground, pop up. A lot of people are kind of surprised I'm going out and I'm going hunting land sharks with my friends. It's like, you know what, I'm not that worried about it. And they're all like, but Dirk, you don't wear heavy armor. And I'm like, I don't need it. And they're like, Dirk, you don't cast big spells. You can't cast fireballs and stuff like that. You can't create walls of fire. You can't freeze that boulet in its tracks. And I'm like, not worried about it at all. And they're like, Dirk, you can't hide in the shadows as well as the rogues can and sneak up on the things. And I'm like, yeah, I don't care. I don't need that either. And they're like, well, what makes you so sure you're coming back? And I'm like, because I got a boulet-proof vest. Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one. I'll tell you folks one thing though. I ain't racist. You know, I'm pretty good with everybody. It helps in my line of work. But I have to say that I'm kind of glad I'm a human. Not because, it isn't cool to be an elf or a half-orc or the business with the tieflings and all that. No. That's fine, but gotta remember, I'm kind of old school. I come from BX. My whole job could have been being a halfling. Yeah, what's up with that, right? Your class is your race. Well, what's going on there? I don't get it, Any of you out there have the feeling that barbarians and great axes only exist to sell 12-sided dice? I mean, seriously. This is a nice gig. You folks are real nice. This sure beats my first gig that I ever had. I was in an enchanted elven forest. Yeah, it was real nice. Beautiful trees and forests and all the woodland creatures and, well, my audience were all elves. You might think, well, that was great. Elves, they like to feast and they like to frolic and they like to have a good time. And I'm like, yeah, there was only one problem. We were in the woodlands and I didn't see 90% of them. That's an old timers joke if you didn't get that. Yeah, go look up AD&D. I suppose you'd like to hear a little music, eh? Being a bard and everything, a little enchantment, a little music. You're gonna get a little music. That's a little music. There you go. All right, thank you. Try the roast boar. It's delicious. I tell you, one of the trickiest things for an adventurer is alignment. Alignment. A lot of people don't like alignment. I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence. Met this beautiful lady. I was like, hey, honey, I'm chaotic wanting to be with you. And she looked at me and she said, oh, it's too bad. I was hoping you'd be lawful good at something useful. Oh, it hurts. Yeah, my friend Rudolph the fighter came up to me and he's like, hey, I think my sword is running around without me. I'm like, Rudolph, what do you mean? It's like, when I go to sleep, I know where all my weapons are. I can reach any single one of them in a moment's notice. I get surprised, I'm still armed. I'm like, okay, so what's your point? He's like, every time I go to sleep, my sword is in a different spot when I wake up. This is very disturbing to me. I'm like, well, that is odd, but I don't know what you can do about it. So this went on for a while, and out of the blue, his sword started getting bigger. Bigger. Finally, it gave birth to a little baby sword about the size of a dagger. It was amazing. Magic and all that stuff. But, we never found out who the father was. So now he's trying to get proficiency in Bastard Sword, if you know what I mean. Yeah, right. There you go. So my friends and I came into this tavern. Not this tavern, but another tavern, you see. And we all came in and we all had our seats. And the tavern keeper looked a little bit on the nervous side. He came over and he's like, you boys must be adventurers. And we're like, well, yeah, of course we're adventurers. Why didn't you think we were adventurers? He's like, well, I could tell you we're adventurers because you come in with all your weapons. Why are you coming to a place of eating and enjoying yourself carrying all these weapons? And we're like, well, because of mimics. And he laughed, we laughed, the table laughed, we killed the table. Everybody had a good time. Yeah. So, I'm Dirk Casterly, Bard on the Run. Last Bard standing, here for your amusement. Thank you very much. You've been a great crowd. Thank you, and farewell.